Hi, y'all. You know it's getting cold, so we're going to be working on a hat project. The pattern number is 1736, Simplicity. And we will be working on hat A. Inside your pattern package, you'll have a cutting layout that's on the right hand side of the sheet. And on the left hand side, it will show the pieces that you need to cut out to make this hat. I'll see if I can show you a little closer. We'll be working with pieces 1 through 4. Now I've already cut out those pieces. I just pretty much cut around them. I didn't cut directly on the line. What I'll do is once I place these pieces onto the fabric that I'm using, I'll make sure to cut directly on the line. Okay, this is just a tip. If you are sharing a pattern with someone and you want to duplicate it for that purpose, or if you just want to duplicate it to make your pattern piece more durable, because after all, the pattern is paper and it's thin paper, and if it's something that you're going to use over and over again, it might be good to duplicate it. You can use tracing paper, or you can use plain plastic. I'm actually using a trash bag, a clear trash bag, and I'm drawing all of the markings of the pattern onto the plastic to use later. Okay, I've already traced all of my markings onto the plastic, including the arrows and the pattern number and everything, so that I can refer back to it later. And I'm actually ready to cut that plastic piece out. Okay, I'll be using piece 3 to start with, which is the brim of the hat. You just place it right on the fabric. And I'll be using the pins that have the ball at the top. Those are easier to use when you're using fleece, because it doesn't go down into the fabric like the regular pins. You see this arrow right down in the middle of the pattern piece? You want to make sure that that arrow is going in the same direction as the selvage on your fabric. See that white area going all the way down? That's the selvage of your fabric. It's not always white on all fabric, but on this particular one it is. Okay, I am almost done cutting out piece 3, which is the brim of the hat. Just need to cut this end off. Looks pretty neat. Actually, I only needed one piece, but since this fabric is doubled, I just went on and just cut out two. I may make two hats. One cut, two hats. Now I'll get ready to situate the hat top and the hat crown and the flowers onto the fabric. Okay, I am nearly done with cutting the hat brim. Just have to cut this little piece off now. I only really needed one piece. See, it says to cut one. See, cut one. My fabric was doubled, so I just went on and cut two. I may make two hats. So I'm gonna do the same thing with my other pieces. Hat top, the hat crown, and the flower. Well, I may do brown and some of this cheater-like fabric as well. So I'll see you in just a few. Okay, quick tip. On your pattern pieces, along the cutting line, you may see like a little triangle. That triangle represents a point where you're going to join two pieces together. So usually when you cut it and have your fabric together, you can put a little mark there. You can either just put a little cut, or you can actually cut out a triangle. I'll bring it a little closer so you can see. See the triangle? On this one, I just put a little cut rather than a triangle, but that helps you match your fabric. Okay, I'm gonna go on and work with my other pieces. The hat crown, the flowers, and the hat top. And I'll be cutting this out in the brown. You notice that arrow? Remember we talked about that earlier? You want to make sure it's placed on your fabric and that that arrow is going in the same direction as the selvage of the fabric that it's on. I'm going to make sure this pattern piece is straight on the fabric by measuring from the point of the arrow to the edge of the fabric. And this one just happens to measure 14. So I'm going to pin it in place. And I have to do the same thing from the other end of the arrow to make sure that that measurement is the same. And this way, I'll know that it's pinned straight. This one is a little bit off. See how I had to like pull it up a little bit? Now I have the two sides measured the same. So I'm going to go on and pin it. And then tack the pattern all the way around. And I'll do that for this piece and the head piece. The flowers and the hat. Okay, everything is pinned down and it's ready to be cut out. Okay, we're getting to one of those little triangles that we talked about. Remember, that's the part where you can match pieces of fabric together. You can either put like a little slit in it, or you can actually cut out a little triangle. Can you see that? I'll do that to all of the pieces. Okay, I am down to the last piece. This is the last piece of the flower. See, I have all these cut. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I cut all of these on a double layer fabric like I did that first one. So actually I'll be able to make 2 hats. I'll be making 2 hats out of these pieces. The Hat-Brim, the hat crown, the hat top, and the flowers. Okay, I told you about this sheet earlier in the video, the sewing directions. This is the sewing directions for hat A. These are the pictures 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And it matches up with the instructions. It says to stitch center back seam of hat crown. With right sides together, you're going to stitch the hat crown to hat top, matching centers front and back. That's the way it would look once you do that. Then when you get to 3, it says stitch center back seam of hat brim. Fold brim in half lengthwise with wrong sides together, having raw edges even. And then you're going to base. That just means just put a stitch going across. It doesn't have to be anything tight, just something to keep it together. 4 says on inside, pin brim to lower edge of crown, matching centers and having raw edges even. And then you want to stitch that. Turn brim to outside. Tack brim to center back seam. Okay, so we're going to actually do that. Okay, this is the head crown. I'm putting the two right sides together, and I'm going to stitch down the center back. I want to make sure that those, those little triangles that we cut out earlier, you want to make sure that those pieces are together. This way you know everything is straight because they're matching. And then I'm going to sew that at 5/8 of an inch. I lift my presser foot, and I'll just put my fabric right in to where the 5/8 mark is. Put my presser foot down. And I start to sew. You want to cut off any loose threads. Okay, the next step is to attach the hat top. Again, I have two hat tops because I plan to make two hats. Okay, remember those little slits that we made in the hat? We also made them in the hat top. So we're going to use those to match the two pieces together. See, we have it there and here, and we're going to match those. And this way we'll know that we have things together. See, I have those two. Just going to put a pin. And then there's another set right there. There's another set. And we have another set there. See those two? Just going to match that up. That way we keep everything straight. Okay. And then we just put a few pins right around the hat just to make sure that everything is straight and in place. And as you start to sew, you can take the pins out. See? Just gonna put a few around. And then you have it in the back too. So I'm gonna go on and sew this. And start to sew again at 5/8. This right under to the 5/8 mark. Put my presser foot down. Just try to keep my seams together. And I'm going to go around the hat. As I go around, I'm going to push some of this fabric out of the way and under so that it doesn't catch any extra fabric but around the crown of the hat. See how I push under and make sure it's straight? Now, as I go around, when I get close to a pin, I'm just going to remove that pin. See? Again, I push that kind of under so it doesn't catch any fabric I don't want to be caught. Getting around to the part where we had those little slits, so we want to make sure that stays together. Okay. Keep everything intact. Close to the end. Alrighty. Now those loose strings. You can see this okay. Okay. So far that's what it looks like. Okay. Now we're going to work with the hat brim. This is the right side. I'm going to put my right sides together. Those are the notches that I will be matching with the brown part of the hat. First, I'm going to stitch the center back. I'll be stitching it at 5/8. Strings off here. Now I'm going to fold this brim in half lengthwise. Okay, I'm just going to fold it in half. And as you can see, I'm putting the wrong sides together. See? I'm putting the wrong sides together. You want to make sure that that seam that you just made when you sewed both ends together, that that's open. So you end up with something that looks like this. Okay, you want to baste your ends together on the brim. That part that you just folded together lengthwise, you're going to baste it. Just make sure your edges are together like that. I'm just using the edge of my foot to use as a guide to baste it, because I have to sew it again onto the actual hat. Opening there too where I marked. So that's a good way of knowing that your fabric is straightened together. Those two little points, see they're together? The way it keeps you kind of on track. Okay. Now I'm ready to attach this to the hat. Okay, now it's time to attach the brim of the hat to the actual hat. You're going to match the seams together. You notice I started at the center back where I put the crown together, the crown part of the hat. So the brim, it has a seam in it. So I put the brim's seam right with the seam of the crown of the hat. And just take it all the way around. is nice and even all the way around. And now you want to stitch it. I originally sewed the seam of the trim at 5/8, but I noticed it made the hat a little short, and I wanted the hat to be a little bit longer, so I just adjusted it myself. I didn't have my seam to be so large at 5/8. You can do that with the top of the hat as well. You don't have to sew it at 5/8. You can make that narrow so the hat would be taller or deeper. The hat is starting to take shape. Make sure you take all of the pins out. Now you can flip the hat over. And you can flip over your brim. Right at the back where that seam is, you're gonna stitch. Put a couple of stitches in the hat to hold the brim down. Remember, you still have the flower to put on the side. Okay, these are the petals of the flower that I cut. I have 8, and right at the bottom, I'm just gonna fold the piece over like that, and I'll put a pin in it just to hold it, because I will be sewing this. And I'm going to do the same thing to all the other pieces, the other 7. Now I'm going to take those petals and sew each one, joining them together. You notice I didn't cut the string. I just grabbed another petal, and I'll keep doing that until all of the petals are sewn. It's 8, because I want the string to be in between each petal that's sewn to keep them all together. That gives it a little extra strength. We're almost there. Okay, we're taking all of the petals out. See how they're hanging on one string? Okay, now you can start to position your petals together to make the flower. If you use a button, you can just put it right there in the center. I just happen to have that specific button, and it went so well with the color in the hat. And I was looking at this and I said, wow, this looks like it would make a nice necklace too. You know the sky's the limit. I bet you could come up with a lot of things for this. Okay, now that you have all of the petals put together for the flower, you're going to sew it on to the hat. You want to make sure that it's nice and secure. You can attach your button now. You notice how I brought the needle up from inside of the hat out, catching the button, and attaching it. The thread wanted to catch one of the petals. And there you have it. Okay, I said the word okay a lot throughout this video. That's why we are going to make a little contest for those in the sewing ministry. Whoever can be the first to guess the correct amount of okays wins a prize. Text me directly before Christmas and I'll announce the winner at the next meeting. Goodbye.